metal latch clicked, sharp as a warning, just as Dr. Maya Ellis lifted her carry-on into the overhead bin. The airplane cabin hummed with recycled air
Everything
and
is in
patient
order.
murmurs.
Thank
But
you,
the sound
officer.
that cut through everything was the officer's voice behind her. Low, cold, practiced. Step aside. Now. Maya froze. His shadow spilled across his seat row before she turned. Officer Grant, airport security patch bright against his sleeve, watched her with a look that didn't match his words. It wasn't suspicion. It was certainty. Certainty that she was already guilty of something. "I'm just stowing my bag," she said, keeping her tone even. He didn't blink. I said, "Step aside." Passengers' eyes flicked over the seat tops, quick, guilty glances, and then away, the way people look when they decided someone else's humiliation isn't their problem. Grant reached past her, seized her bag, and yanked it back down. The cabin jolted at the thud. "This doesn't look like a standard passenger item," he said. "Could be non-compliant." "It's a laptop case," Maya answered. Grant leaned in, voice ablade. "People like you always say that." The line sliced straight through her composure. Heat climbed her spine. Her pulse hammered at her collarbone. She opened her mouth to respond. But the intercom crackled overhead, and the captain's voice broke in. "Security to the flight deck. Immediately." Grant's jaw tightened. His hand hovered near her shoulder. He wasn't done. Not even close. And as he turned toward the cockpit, Maya realized whatever was coming would pull her into something far worse than a single act of harassment. Dr. Maya Ellis reached gate C-12 with 3 minutes to spare before general boarding. The terminal smelled faintly of disinfectant and burnt espresso, the usual perfume of early morning flights. She adjusted the strap of her laptop case and stepped into the boarding queue, already reviewing inspection notes in her head. Denver's regional office had reported anomalies, minor ones, but enough to require her presence. Another long day ahead. Boarding Group 2, the agent called. Maya stepped forward. A heavy voice dropped behind her. Step out of line." She turned. Officer Grant stood with feet planted wide, authority radiating from the stiff lines of his uniform. His expression didn't shift. "Yes," she said. He held a scanner loosely in one hand. "Random secondary check." She handed him her boarding pass. "I went through security 20 minutes ago." "Random secondary check," he repeated, tone sanded flat. He didn't scan the pass. Instead, he inspected her with a slow, dismissive sweep. Maya inhaled once, grounding herself, and waited. Other passengers edged around them, eager to board. Grant gestured with 2 fingers. "Bag." She opened her laptop case, sliding it toward him. He rifled through it, ignoring the agent's impatient glance. "That all?" he asked. "That's all." He snapped it shut with unnecessary force. "Follow me." "I'm boarding," Maya replied, voice calm. "If there's an issue, tell me the basis for the check." His mouth twitched. "Basis as I said so." The agent hesitated. Maya held her ground. After a tense pause, Grant stepped aside with a tight glare. "Fine. Get on the plane. We'll continue on board." The unease that followed her down the jet bridge felt physical, like a hand pressing at her back. Inside, the cabin buzzed with overhead compartments slamming and passengers negotiating legroom. Maya found her aisle seat. She lifted her case toward the bin. The latch clicked. Step aside. Now." Officer Grant's shadow filled the narrow space. "I'm stowing my bag," Maya said. Grant reached past her, grabbed the case, and jerked it down hard. A few passengers flinched. "This item needs compliance verification." "It's a laptop case," she repeated. He narrowed his eyes. "You answered that earlier. Still doesn't look standard." Maya steadied her breath. "If you'd like to inspect something, please state the regulation it violates." A whisper rippled through the row behind her. Grant leaned in, voice low. "People like you always start quoting rules." Dialogues around them froze. His tone had pierced the cabin's noise, just sharp enough that several passengers exchanged uneasy glances. Maya's heartbeat thudded harder, not from fear but from recognition. The old script, familiar across airports, offices, cities. She straightened. "Officer, you're escalating an interaction that has no basis." Please step back. Grant smirked. Escalation? This is routine procedure, unless you're refusing to comply. I'm not refusing anything, she said. I'm asking for clarity. Clarity is that you're holding up the boarding process. He raised his voice. Supervisor needed at row 14. Passengers shrank into their seats as if physical proximity might pull them into the conflict. A flight attendant hurried over, balancing professionalism with unease. Officer, is there a specific concern? She asked. Grant spoke before Maya could. Passenger is non-compliant and refusing inspection. Maya turned to the attendant. That is not accurate. The attendant blinked, clearly caught between protocol and the tension spiraling before her. Officer, we need to depart on schedule. Can this be handled after takeoff? No. Passenger presents a potential security risk. Several people stiffened. A mother pulled her child closer. Someone muttered under their breath. The words struck the air like sparks. Security risk. The kind that ignited suspicion before truth could form. Maya felt a familiar burn behind her ribs. Not anger. Something colder. Something that arrived after years of watching institutional language disguise personal bias. She reached into her jacket. If you need identification. Hands where I can see them, Grant snapped. She froze mid-movement. The cabin fell silent. The flight attendant swallowed. Officer, please. Grant stepped forward. Stand up and step into the aisle. Maya rose slowly, every motion measured, aware of eyes tracking her. Grant positioned himself too close, creating the impression of compliance failure where none existed. Then the intercom crackled. Security to the flight deck. Immediately. Grant's jaw tightened, irritation flashing through his composed facade. He lifted his radio. Copy. On the way. He turned to Maya. Don't move. This isn't over. The attendant exhaled shakily. Are you all right? Maya didn't answer. Grant was already half down the aisle, pushing past passengers without apology. But she knew, deep in the pit of her stomach, that when he came back, he would return with reinforcements and a narrative already shaped to frame her. And she understood something else. Whatever lay behind that summons to the cockpit, it had just made her the center of a storm she hadn't created, but would have survived with every ounce of composure she possessed. The security office beside Gate C-12 was colder than the terminal, its fluorescent lights humming with an edge that grated on the nose. Dr. Maya Ellis stood in the center of the cramped room, as Officer Grant closed the door behind them. The click of the lock was unnecessary, yet deliberate. A junior officer at the desk, Rodriguez, according to his badge, looked up, uncertain. Officer Grant, what's the situation? Grant answered before Maya could speak. Passenger refused compliance during boarding. Possible non-standard item. Need verification. Rodriguez blinked. She refused. Maya kept her voice steady. I did not refuse. I asked for a clear basis of the inspection. Grant didn't turn toward her. Same thing. Rodriguez's brows pulled together, but he stayed quiet. Grant pointed toward a metal chair. Sit. Maya didn't move. Before this continues, I want your supervisor present. Grant let out a short laugh. You don't get to make demands here. You don't get to fabricate behavior I didn't exhibit. Rodriguez coughed softly, the kind of sound people make when trying to dissolve tension they're afraid to acknowledge. Grant ignored it and switched on the desk camera. State your full name, he ordered. Maya opened her wallet and placed her federal ID on the table with clinical precision. Dr. Maya Ellis. Rodriguez leaned in to glance at it. His eyes widened almost imperceptibly. She's federal. Grant didn't look. Could be fake. It's not, Rodriguez murmured. Grant stepped closer to Maya, scrutinizing the ID without touching it. This looks new. It's current, she said. My role requires updated credentials. Grant's tone sharpened. Or someone printed something they hoped would pass. A thin pulse of heat ran through her chest. Officer, that accusation requires evidence. He smirked. Everything here requires evidence. That's what we're collecting. Rodriguez shifted uneasily, glancing between them. Maybe we should. Stay out of it, Grant snapped. Rodriguez's jaw tightened, but he lowered his eyes. Grant lifted Maya's laptop case from the table where he'd tossed it. Open it. She did so silently. He poured through her items again. Power cord, policy brief, FAA field notes. He held the notebook up by a corner. What's this? Work documentation. Airline codes. Restricted diagrams. He flipped a page deliberately. Suspicious. Rodriguez frowned. Those are standard operational notes. Grant shot him a glare sharp enough to silence further comment. Maya spoke evenly. You're misrepresenting the content. I'm evaluating the content, he corrected. You're projecting intentions onto it, she countered. The room went quiet. Grant placed the notebook down with exaggerated care. I'll be filing a report on this interaction. I advise you to answer all questions directly. Maya held his gaze. And I'll be documenting every step of this process. Rodriguez cleared his throat. Officer Grant, protocol states that if identification appears valid. Protocol states I determine validity, Grant interrupted. Maya watched Rodriguez's face as a word sank in. His eyes flicked toward the ID again, conflicted. Something in him knew this wasn't right. She drew out her phone, not abruptly, but deliberately. I'm making a call. Grant took one step forward. Put that down. I'm contacting the Regional Aviation Office, she said, dialing. This is not an unauthorized action. Rodriguez shifted in his seat. Sir, she's within her rights. Grant didn't answer. His silence was a kind that held too much calculation. Maya held the phone to her ear. Paula? It's Maya, she said when her deputy answered. I need you to start a log review. Gate C12. Body cam footage. Boarding area timestamp. I'll update you shortly. Even through the phone, she heard Paula inhale sharply. Understood. She hung up. Grant leaned against the table, folding his arms, trying to intimidate me with contacts. I'm ensuring this process is transparent. He smiled without softness. You think calling someone makes you look compliant? It makes you look panicked. Maya met his stare. I'm not panicked. Something flickered behind his eyes. Resentment, irritation, something personal. The door opened abruptly. A tall officer with a stern face entered. What's the issue? Grant's voice smoothed into a practice report. Passenger became non-compliant to boarding, refused inspection, attempted to conceal items, and is now making phone call that raised security concerns. Maya turned to him. None of that is accurate. Rodriguez spoke up, surprising both of them. Sir, her ID checks out. She passed security already, and she didn't refuse anything. Grant's head snapped toward him. Rodriguez. The senior officer raised a hand. Let me see the ID. He examined it, scanning the watermark, the embedded code. His eyebrows rose. She's Federal Aviation Authority. High level. The shift in the room was instant. Grant stiffened. Rodriguez exhaled. The senior officer's entire posture changed, not deferential, but alert. Grant recovered quickly. Credentials can be forged. No, the senior officer said coldly. This one can't. A beat of silence followed. Maya clasped her hands behind her back, steady. I requested a supervisor earlier. I'm requesting again that any further questioning follow proper protocol. Grant stepped forward, face tightening. You don't dictate. Yes, the senior officer cut in. She does. Grant turned sharply, expression cracking for the first time. So, she outranks airport security on anything involving flight operations, compliance protocols, or passenger rights violations. Rodriguez blinked. All of that, this falls under her authority. Grant's jaw clenched. The senior officer faced Maya. What would you like documented? Maya took a measured breath. Everything. Grant's face drained of color. Rodriguez looked down at the desk camera, still recording, and quietly reached out to turn the lens slightly toward Grant. Subtle, deliberate. Maya saw it, and she understood. Someone in this room realized the truth long before Grant would admit it. The senior officer spoke again. Careful now. Dr. Ellis, we can escort you back to the terminal when you're ready. Maya lifted her laptop case. I'm ready now. Grant's fingers curled into fists, barely contained. The senior officer opened the door. Rodriguez nodded once at Maya, an unspoken acknowledgement of everything she endured in that room. As she stepped into the hallway, she knew two things with absolute clarity. Grant had just realized who she was, and he would not let this end quietly. Dr. Maya Ellis walked out of the security office with her laptop case resting against her hip like a shield. The hallway outside felt strangely quiet compared to the charge air she had just left behind. Passengers drifted by on their way to gates, unaware that a confrontation was unfolding just meters away, one that would ripple far beyond this sterile corridor. Her phone buzzed. Paula. Maya answered immediately. I'm out of the room. Paula's voice was steady but tight. I've already requested logs from Denver and cross-checks for badge authentication. I pulled your itinerary and the airport security camera timestamps. Maya, what's going on over there? Officer Misconduct, Maya said. Escalation without cause. A pause, sharp, absorbing, analytic. Do I need to contact legal? Yes. And internal compliance. Understood. I'll start the chain. Maya ended the call and exhaled. The adrenaline from the confrontation still thrummed under her skin, a restless, electric current. Behind her, the office door opened. Grant stepped out. His movements were rigid, but his eyes were a storm barely contained. What exactly are you playing at? He demanded. Maya kept walking. Hey, I'm talking to you. She stopped, pivoted slowly. Officer Grant, this interaction is no longer appropriate. Your supervisor will handle all further steps. That supervisor doesn't know what happened, Grant shot back. I do. You fabricated parts of your own report. I saw you forming the narrative before you even asked the first question. His nostrils flared. You think flashing that badge makes you untouchable. It makes the process accountable. He stepped closer. You don't belong in that seat of authority. Rodriguez appeared at the doorway, tense. Officer Grant. Sir, you need to stand down. Grant didn't move. His voice dipped to a whisper meant for her alone. People like you get power, and it goes to your head. Maya's heartbeat steadied into something cold and exact. People like me follow federal law. Rodriguez intervened, stepping physically between them. Officer Grant, the supervisor wants you inside. Now. Grant held Maya's gaze for one long, charged moment before he turned abruptly and marched back into the office. Rodriguez looked mortified. I'm sorry. This shouldn't be happening. Maya nodded once. Document everything. He nodded back, an oath in silence, then disappeared behind the door. 30 minutes later, Maya sat in a quiet corner of the terminal, a spare conference room offered by airport administration. Her laptop glowed with incoming emails, legal's acknowledgement, compliance's request for statements, a notifications trail forming like a spreading web. Then her phone rang. She recognized the number. Federal Direct Line. She answered. Dr. Ellis, said Deputy Director Hammond, voice clipped. I received the preliminary details. Do you require extraction from the airport? I'm handling it. Good. I'm routing body cam footage to internal review. Surveillance timestamps match your account. Also, your deputy reported an officer is drafting an incident report about you. Maya felt a grim knot form. Let me guess, non-compliance. Among other embellishments, we're pulling the draft. She closed her laptop with a soft click. Good. Do you want this escalated to the Office of Civil Rights now, or after the initial review? After, she said. I want his full statements preserved. Understood. The call ended. 15 minutes later, the door to the conference room opened. A senior airport administrator stepped in, a man in his 50s with a receding hairline and a carefully neutral expression. Dr. Ellis, he said, I'm Director Whitford. I've been informed of a misunderstanding. Maya kept her gaze steady. Misunderstanding is an inaccurate term. He cleared his throat. Officer Grant reported abnormal behavior on your part. That report contradicts camera footage, she said. Whitford stiffened. We haven't reviewed footage yet. I have. His expression faltered. Through what channels? Federal channels. Whitford swallowed. Dr. Ellis, with respect, this could create unnecessary complications. Yes, Maya said, for Officer Grant. Whitford diplomacy cracked for a brief second, revealing irritation. We prefer to resolve these matters internally. I don't, Maya replied. The silence that followed was taut, stretched, waiting to snap. Whitford inhaled. I'd like to offer you an apology. No, Maya said. I'd like a record. His jaw tightened. A record can trigger audits. That's the point. Whitford flinched. She stood, gathering her case. I'm giving you the opportunity to cooperate. I recommend you take it. Whitford managed a stiff nod. We'll preserve all logs. They both knew what that meant. Grant's report, the body cam footage, the security room video, Rodriguez's statements, the radio traffic. All of it would fall under federal scrutiny. And Maya's presence meant the airport had no leverage. She turned to leave. Whitford stopped her with a strained voice. Dr. Ellis, I assume you'll be rebooking your flight. No, she said. I'm finishing what was interrupted. As she walked back toward the main terminal, passengers parted unconsciously, sensing her urgency or authority. She couldn't tell which, but she knew this much. Grant now understood who she was. And understanding would not stop him. Men who thrived on power didn't surrender it quietly. They doubled down, and he would. She felt it in her bones. End of chapter 3. The conference room smelled like stale coffee and paper dust, the kind that clung to government buildings after midnight. Marcus Hale sat at the long metal table, elbows spread wide, boots crossed under his chair as if the place belonged to him. He didn't look tired. He looked ready to perform. Captain Rivera pressed record. Sergeant Hale, we need your full account of the incident aboard Flight 782. Hale gave a lazy shrug. Yeah, sure. Maya watched from behind the two-way mirror, jaw tight, hands locked together so she wouldn't break the glass with them. Every word he said mattered. Every lie would shape the storm waiting outside. Hale leaned back. Passenger in 14A was causing trouble. Wouldn't follow crew instructions. Got aggressive. Tried to access restricted equipment. I intervened. Rivera stared at him. Restricted equipment. Yeah, Hale said. She kept reaching the overhead where emergency kits are stored. Maya closed her eyes, reaching for her own bag. Not emergency kits. Not even close. Rivera continued. You removed her from her seat without explanation. She knew what she was doing. Hale said. People like her always play innocent. Rivera's brow twitched. People like her. Hale straightened, annoyed. You know, difficult passengers. Always quick to pull the race card. Maya's stomach knotted. Rivera tapped his pen. The passenger is a director of the Federal Aviation Administration. Hale paused for half a second, barely visible, but it was enough. A crack in his armor. Then he smirked. Title doesn't change behavior. Rivera pulled out a transcript. Multiple witnesses report she complied with all instructions. That's what they'll say, Hale replied. Nobody wants to get called racist. They'll defend whoever screams it first. He leaned forward. I'm not going down because some lady got offended. Maya's breath tightened. He believed it. Every word. He believed the story he was building. Rivera's tone cooled. We've reviewed partial cabin footage. Hale's jaw flexed. Footage doesn't show everything. Rivera slid a photo across the table. Smeared? Grainy, but unmistakable. Hale towering over Maya, hand clenched around her arm. Her face turned away. Hale scoffed. Optics. Nothing more. Rivera didn't blink. You told the captain she was a security threat. Based on her behavior. Which behavior? Exactly. She wasn't cooperating. You didn't speak to her long enough to determine anything. Hale scoffed. I spoke plenty. Rivera leaned closer. She spoke one sentence before you grabbed her. Hale tapped the table, irritation rising. She had the tone. The attitude. You can hear when someone's about to escalate. She thought she was above the rules. Maya's heartbeat thumped hard in her ears. Rivera said, Director Lawson has flown more miles in the last year than you have in the last 10. She knows the rules. Hale's eyes hardened. Then she should have acted like it. Rivera closed the folder. You claimed she tried to rush the cockpit. Maya snapped her eyes open, fury igniting like flame. Rush the cockpit? Rivera's voice sharpened. The captain denies this. Well, Hale said, he doesn't want to get dragged into anything. Rivera shook his head. You fabricated a security threat. That's a federal offense. Hale barked a humorless laugh. Good luck proving intent. Rivera stood. This isn't going away. For the first time, Hale's posture stiffened. So? You'll suspend me. Rivera stared at him. There's an active federal inquiry. Hale swallowed. A thin line of sweat formed at his temple. Rivera stepped out, shutting the door behind him. The hallway lights hummed. Maya stayed hidden behind the mirror as Rivera approached. He's cornered, Rivera said quietly. But cornered men thrash. Maya exhaled slowly. His rewriting reality. Then break it with evidence, Rivera said, because he won't stop until someone forces his hand. Maya looked back through the mirror at Hale, who sat alone now, breathing hard, eyes darting toward the camera, recording every shift in his expression. His voice, barely audible through the glass, muttered to himself, She won't win. Not this time. Maya's spine chilled. This time? The implications coiled deep inside her. Rivera whispered, He's done this before. Maya whispered back, voice steady, cold, deliberate. Then I'm not just ending what he did to me. I'm ending the whole pattern. From inside the room, Hale's voice rose again, defiant, angry, trembling. She can't take me down. Maya stepped closer to the glass, eyes locked on him. He has no idea, she murmured. The hum of the fluorescent lights filled the silence that followed. Sharp, buzzing, electric. The investigation had only begun. The conference room smelled like stale coffee and paper dust, the kind that clung to government buildings after midnight. Marcus Hale sat at the long metal table, elbows spread wide, boots crossed under his chair as if the place belonged to him. He didn't look tired. He looked ready to perform. Captain Rivera pressed record. Sergeant Hale, we need your full account of the incident aboard Flight 782. Hale gave a lazy shrug. Yeah, sure. Maya watched from behind the two-way mirror, jaw tight, hands locked together so she wouldn't break the glass with them. Every word he said mattered. Every lie would shape the storm waiting outside. Hale leaned back. Passenger in 14A was causing trouble. Wouldn't follow crew instructions. Got aggressive. Tried to access restricted equipment. I intervened. Rivera stared at him. Restricted equipment. Yeah, Hale said. She kept reaching at the overhead where emergency kits are stored. Maya closed her eyes, reaching for her own bag. Not emergency kits. Not even close. Rivera continued. You removed her from her seat without explanation. She knew what she was doing, Hale said. People like her always play innocent. Rivera's brow twitched. People like her. Hale straightened, annoyed. You know, difficult passengers. Always quick to pull the race card. Maya's stomach knotted. Rivera tapped his pen. The passenger is the director of the Federal Aviation Administration. Hale paused for half a second, barely visible, but it was enough. A crack in his armor. Then he smirked. Title doesn't change behavior. Rivera pulled out a transcript. Multiple witnesses report she complied with all instructions. That's what they'll say, Hale replied. Nobody wants to get called racist. They'll defend whoever screams it first. He leaned forward. I'm not going down because some lady got offended. Maya's breath tightened. He believed it. Every word. He believed the story he was building. Rivera's tone cooled. We've reviewed partial cabin footage. Hale's jaw flexed. Footage doesn't show everything. Rivera slid a photo across the table. Smeared, grainy, but unmistakable. Hale towering over Maya, hand clenched around her arm. Her face turned away. Hale scoffed. Optics. Nothing more. Rivera didn't blink. You told the captain she was a security threat. Based on her behavior. Which behavior, exactly? She wasn't cooperating. You didn't speak to her long enough to determine anything. Hale scoffed. I spoke plenty. Rivera leaned closer. She spoke one sentence before you grabbed her. Hale tapped the table, irritation rising. She had the tone, the attitude. You can hear when someone's about to escalate. She thought she was above the rules. Maya's heartbeat thumped hard in her ears. Rivera said, Director Lawson has flown more miles in the last year than you have in the last 10. She knows the rules. Hale's eyes hardened. Then she should have acted like it. Rivera closed the folder. You claimed she tried to rush the cockpit. Maya snapped her eyes open, fury igniting like flame. Rush the cockpit? Rivera's voice sharpened. The captain denies this. Well, Hale said he doesn't want to get dragged into anything. Rivera shook his head. You fabricated a security threat. That's a federal offense. Hale barked a humorless laugh. Good luck proving intent. Rivera stood. This isn't going away. For the first time, Hale's posture stiffened. So, you'll suspend me. Rivera stared at him. There's an active federal inquiry. Hale swallowed. A thin line of sweat formed at his temple. Rivera stepped out, shutting the door behind him. The hallway lights hummed. Maya stayed hidden behind the mirror as Rivera approached. Is cornered, Rivera said quietly, but cornered men thrash. Maya exhaled slowly. His rewriting reality. Then break it with evidence, Rivera said, because he won't stop until someone forces his hand. Maya looked back through the mirror at Hale, who sat alone now, breathing hard, eyes darting toward the camera, recording every shift in his expression. His voice, barely audible through the glass, muttered to himself, She won't win. Not this time. Maya's spine chilled. This time? The implications coiled deep inside her. Rivera whispered, He's done this before. Maya whispered back, voice steady, cold, deliberate. Then I'm not just ending what he did to me. I'm ending the whole pattern. From inside the room, Hale's voice rose again, defiant, angry, trembling. She can't take me down. Maya stepped closer to the glass, eyes locked on him. He has no idea, she murmured. The hum of the fluorescent lights filled the silence that followed. Sharp, buzzing, electric. The investigation had only begun. The morning broke gray over Washington, the kind of color that made the whole city feel suspended, waiting, watching, holding its breath. Maya stepped out of the rideshare and into the wind slicing across Independence Avenue. Reporters already clustered near the entrance of the FAA headquarters, murmuring like a hive preparing to swarm. She didn't slow. Eyes forward, shoulders straight, every step deliberate. Inside, the elevator doors shut, sealing her in a box of fluorescent light. Her phone buzzed. Then it buzzed again. And again. By the fourth vibration, she looked. Unknown number. You should be ashamed of yourself. Another message popped up. Unknown number. Stop ruining that officer's life for attention. Maya inhaled once, deeply. She deleted both messages without replying. Her phone vibrated again, this time with a forwarded link from Rivera. Body cam footage disputed. Officer claims FAA Director. Fabricated victim narrative. Her stomach tightened. She opened the article. A grainy still image from the plane sat at the top, her face blurred. Hale's not. The headline flickered in her vision as if the letters themselves sneered. Her phone buzzed again. Another link, this time from her communications director. Turn on TV now. Maya stepped off the elevator and stood in the hallway, staring at the nearest wall monitor. A news anchor spoke with a kind of breathless urgency designed to ignite public opinion. And a source within airport security has leaked partial bodycam audio, allegedly supporting the officer's claim that the passenger was hostile before recording began. The screen cut to audio clips, edited, chopped, stripped of context. Hale's voice. Lower your voice. Then silence. Then Maya's voice, spliced and lifted from a later moment. You cannot touch me like that. Edited together as if she had started the confrontation. Unbelievable, Maya whispered under her breath. A staffer approached slowly. Half the building has seen it. Maya didn't flinch. Where did the leak come from? Unknown. Could be airport security. Could be his union. Could be someone in the airline. Maya's phone buzzed again. An email alert. Subject: Congressional Oversight Request. She opened it. A committee wanted her presence for clarification regarding conduct during air travel. Her jaw tightened. They turned it around. They are painting me as a threat. Rivera appeared at the end of the hallway, face grim. It's coordinated, he said, approaching. Someone is protecting him. Maya nodded. He's being shielded. Rivera lowered his voice. Union lawyers are already on every network. They are pushing a narrative of a power-abusing federal official intimidating a working-class officer. The words hit harder than she expected. Maya straightened. Then we counter with truth. Rivera hesitated. Truth moves slower than outrage. She started walking. Then we moved faster. They entered the operations room, screens glowing with flight maps and news feeds. Everyone tried not to stare, but their sideways glances gave away the rising tension. Her communications director handed her a tablet. This is worse than we thought, she said. The edited clip is everywhere. Millions of views in an hour. Maya watched the clip silently, analyzing every splice. I didn't raise my voice, Maya said. We know, the director replied. They made it sound like I did. We know. They left out him grabbing me. We know. Maya set the tablet down. Released the real footage. The room froze. Rivera stepped closer. Maya, that footage includes bystanders. Faces we can't show without consent. Blur them, Maya said. It also shows what he said, Rivera warned. The unions will argue it's inflammatory. Good, Maya said. Let them. Rivera leaned in. You're choosing a public fight with a man backed by institutions that punish whistleblowers harder than offenders. Maya's voice didn't waver. I'm not the whistleblower. I'm the victim. Before anyone could respond, her phone rang, unknown number again. She answered, a woman's voice, shaking. Director Lawson. Yes. I was on the plane. When it happened, I saw everything. A breath. And I have video he didn't know I took. Maya's pulse spiked. Where are you? I can't come forward publicly, the woman said. I have a job with TSA. I can't risk it. Maya swallowed. I understand. But I'm sending you the video, the woman said, because what he's saying, it's a lie, and has lied before. Before Maya could ask anything else, the call disconnected. Seconds later, a video file appeared. She opened it. The angle was low. A passenger's phone peeking through the gap between seats. Clear audio. Hale's voice, sharp, hostile. Sit down and stop acting like you're special. Then the moment he grabbed her, undeniable. His hand clamping her arm. Her surprise. The tension in her shoulders. Unedited. Raw. Truth. Maya looked up slowly. Rivera stared at the screen, disbelief tightening his features. His finished. But Maya wasn't watching Hale. She was watching herself, caught off guard, humiliated, shrinking in her seat as everyone around pretended not to see. She forced herself to keep looking, forced herself not to look away from the woman she had been in that moment. Prepare a statement, she said. We release this today. Her communications director nodded, already typing. Rivera placed a hand on the desk. He'll panic. People like him don't crumble quietly. Maya's eyes stayed on the screen. That's fine, she said. Let him hear the truth echo before it hits him. Outside, the city kept moving, cars rushing, people passing, unaware that a single video was about to flip the entire narrative. Inside, Maya exhaled once, the beginning of a storm gathering in her lungs. The leak had been their move. Now it was hers. The press briefing room crackled with tension long before Maya stepped inside. Cameras crowded the aisles, red recording lights blinking like tiny, hungry eyes. Reporters murmured in tight clusters, their voices low, eager, predatory. Everyone wanted a piece of her. Her communications director whispered, "They are primed to attack. Keep answers concise." Maya nodded once. She didn't need coaching. What she needed was truth, and the weight of it behind her voice. Rivera stood near the side wall, arms crossed. He didn't say anything, but his eyes told her he was ready for whatever erupted. The door opened. The murmuring stopped. Maya walked to the podium with the steady, controlled gait of someone who'd been pushed to her limit but not broken. She placed her notes down but didn't look at them. She didn't need a script. The first reporter shot up. "Director Lawson, Officer Hale's union claims you instigated the confrontation. Do you deny raising your voice or refusing instructions?" "Yes," Maya said plainly. Murmurs rippled. Another reporter jumped in. "Are you suggesting the body cam audio is fabricated?" Maya answered, voice even. "It is edited, not fabricated, manipulated." A third voice cut through. "What evidence do you have?" Maya gestured to the screen behind her. "Play the file." The room lights dimmed. The unauthorized passenger video began, filling the space with unfiltered reality. Hale's voice, "Sit down and stop acting like you're special." Gasps echoed. Then the footage showed his hand clamping onto her arm. Clear, forceful, unmistakable. A reporter whispered, "Oh my God." Another said, "They lied." When the clip ended, silence hung thick in the air. Maya stepped back to the podium. "That is what happened." Hands shot up instantly. "Director Lawson, why didn't you release this earlier?" "The person who filmed it feared retaliation," Maya said. "I received it only hours ago." A reporter from Channel 8 pushed forward. "Officer Hale's union is denying authenticity." Maya answered without hesitation. "Then they can deny it under oath." A stir rolled through the room like a wave smashing against concrete. Then a different question, quieter, sharper. "How often does this happen to you?" Maya inhaled. "Steady. Often enough that I recognized the signs long before he touched me." The room reacted. Some winced. Some nodded. Some scribbled as if their pens could barely keep up. Another reporter asked, "Do you believe this incident reflects a systemic issue?" "Yes." Cameras flashed like lightning. Maya continued, "But this time, I have a platform. I intend to use it." Before the next hand rose, a staffer hurried to her side, whispering urgently into her ear. Maya's chest tightened. "What happened?" she asked under her breath. The staffer exhaled. Hale just held his own press conference. Maya straightened. "What did he say?" "He accused the FAA of orchestrating a smear campaign, and he says it's being targeted for political reasons." Maya felt the familiar burn of disbelief. "Political? I wasn't even aware he existed before he laid hands on me." The staffer swallowed. "There's more. He released new footage." Maya blinked once. "What footage?" "His body cam, from earlier that day. He edited it to include interactions with other passengers where he acted polite and helpful. His framing it as proof is calm, reasonable, professional." Maya's jaw tightened. "His painting himself as a victim." Rivera stepped closer. "His appealing to the public before the truth crushes him." Reporters were shouting questions now. "Director Lawson, do you have a response to Officer Hale's statement? Is this a personal feud? Is the FAA attempting to cover up internal mismanagement?" Maya raised a hand, not to silence him, but to reclaim the space. "Officer Hale's latest footage is irrelevant," she said. "This case is about the moment he grabbed a passenger without cause. A passenger he profiled. A passenger he lied about." Someone near the front called out, "Are you calling Officer Hale a racist?" The room froze. Maya met the gaze of the reporter who asked, her expression unwavering. "I'm calling his actions racist." Gasps again. Pen scribbled. Tweets flew. News alerts pinged. Maya wasn't finished. "And if an officer's pattern of behavior indicates bias," she said, "the public deserves the truth, whether the unions like it or not." A final question cut through the frenzy, sharp as glass. "What do you want, Director Lawson?" For the first time in the briefing, her voice softened, but only slightly. "Accountability." She stepped away from the podium before anyone could ask more. As she left the room, The hallway erupted, staff rushing, phones buzzing, alerts exploding everywhere. The world was reacting in real time, opinions forming and hardening like wet cement. Rivera walked beside her. "You hit him hard." "He hit me first," Maya said. A staffer ran up breathlessly. "We have a problem." Maya toned. "What now?" "Hale just filed a formal complaint against you." "For what?" "For harassment," the staffer said. "An abuse of authority." Maya stopped walking, the absurdity momentarily freezing her. "Is weaponizing the system," she said quietly. Rivera nodded. "Then outmaneuver him." Maya lifted her chin, eyes cold, focused, blazing with clarity. "I will." The complaint arrived before dawn. A courier dropped a thick envelope at Maya's townhouse door, the paper still cold from the night air. She held it in one hand, the weight of it heavier than its pages justified. Rivera stood beside her in the kitchen, coffee steaming between them as she slid it open with a letter opener. The first line hit like a blunt instrument. Formal allegation, abuse of authority, retaliation, and defamation by FAA Director Maya Lawson. Her jaw tensed. Rivera scanned over her shoulder. "He's trying to flip the power dynamic." "He's trying to drown the truth," Maya said. Her phone buzzed. A dozen notifications poured in, articles, social posts, op-eds. Some defended her. Many didn't. Another official plays a victim. Is this really racism or a clash of egos? Officer Hale speaks out. "I fear for my job." Maya set the phone down, fingers steady only on the surface. Rivera said, "He's weaponizing public sympathy." "He's cornered," Maya replied. Desperation's loud. She went to her desk and pulled out a file, her statement drafts, the evidence chain, legal briefs. All ready, all airtight. But today wouldn't be about evidence. Today would be about story. And Hale had rewritten his overnight. A knock struck the door. Firm. Urgent. Maya opened it. Her communications director entered, pale, holding a tablet. "You need to see this." The screen displayed a video. Hale sitting at his kitchen table, uniform off, civilian clothes, looking rumpled and weary. Calculated vulnerability. He spoke softly, voice trembling just enough. "I didn't want to release this," he said to the camera. "I respect women. I respect my community. I respect everyone. But Director Lawson, she's abusing her power. She's trying to destroy me. I was just doing my job." He wiped his brow. "She's turning this into something it wasn't. She wants a headline. I want to keep my job. I want to protect my family." Maya stared at the video, emotionless. "His good," the director whispered. "Too good." Rivera crossed his arms. "His rehearsed. Someone coached him." The director swallowed. "The video is viral. Millions of views already. The comments," she hesitated. "They're ugly." Maya clicked the tablet off. "Let them talk." The director looked at her carefully. One's comment shaped public perception. It's hard to reverse. Maya turned to Rivera. "Status on the official inquiry." "Moving fast," he said. "Your congressional hearing date is set." "When?" Rivera paused. 48 hours. Maya exhaled slowly. "He's accelerating the timeline. He wants you under oath before his narrative collapses." Her phone rang. "Caller ID, Administrator Bennett, Department of Transportation." She answered. "Maya." Bennett said, voice clipped with tension. "We need to talk. Privately." "I'm listening." "I'm getting calls," he said. "Congressional staffers, union leadership, airline executives. They're all pushing the same angle. You escalated." Maya steadied her tone. "You've seen the footage." "I have. But politics doesn't run on footage. It runs on pressure." Maya's eyes sharpened. "Are you asking me to stand down?" "I'm asking you," Bennett said, "to consider the consequences of going to war with a police union." Maya didn't blink. "I considered them the moment he laid hands on me." Bennett sighed. "If this turns into a public battle, someone's going to fall, and history suggests it won't be the union." Maya's voice hardened. Then history needs rewriting. A long silence stretched. Then Bennett said quietly, "You're on your own in this. Officially, I can't intervene." "Understood." The call ended. Rivera watched her, jaw clenched. "They're abandoning you." "No," Maya said. "They are protecting themselves." The director whispered, "What's the plan?" Maya walked to the window, looking out at the quiet street, the faint outline of the Capitol dome beneath the morning fog. "Truth is no longer enough," she said. "We need patterns, not moments." Rivera nodded slowly. Other complaints against him. "They are," Maya said. "I felt it in his words during the interrogation." Rivera pulled out his phone. "I'll check internal affairs. Old reports. Dismissals. Buried paperwork." The director added, "I'll monitor the narrative. Flag any shifts." Maya whispered, "He thinks I'm isolated." Rivera replied, "He's wrong." But in the quiet between their words, Maya felt the truth. He wasn't wrong enough. Her phone buzzed again. This time, it was a voicemail from the same woman who filmed the hidden video. Maya pressed play. "I shouldn't be calling again," the woman whispered, voice trembling. "But something's happening. Officers came to my workplace asking questions. Supervisors were watching me. I think someone knows I recorded what happened." Maya froze. The message continued, "Please, please be careful. They are not just trying to protect him. They are trying to protect what he represents." The voicemail ended with a soft click. Rivera stepped closer. "They are moving on witnesses." The director swallowed. "If they intimidate her." "She won't testify," Maya finished. Rivera stared at her. "We need that woman safe." Maya nodded. "Find her. Bring her in. Protect her." Rivera grabbed his coat. On it. The door shut behind him. Maya stood alone in the quiet town haze, the weight of everything pressing down with chilling clarity. This was no longer about her. This was about the system tightening its grip. She sat at her desk, opened her laptop, and began drafting her testimony. Every sentence was a blade. Every paragraph, a ledger of truth the system had ignored for too long. She wrote until her hands ached. Then her screen flickered. A new message appeared. "Unknown sender. Stop, or you'll regret it." Maya stared at the words. No fear, no hesitation, only clarity. She typed a single line in response. "I don't stop," and press send. The safe house was a nondescript federal office suite used for witness interviews. Sterile walls, humming lights, a faint smell of stale coffee. Rivera guided the trembling TSA employee inside. Maya watched from across the room, her expression composed, though the tension in her hands betrayed everything she carried. The woman, mid-30s, soft-spoken, badge still clipped to her belt, kept glancing over her shoulder as the air itself chased her. "You're safe here," Maya said. The woman's eyes flicked up. "You don't know my supervisors. They don't ask questions. They just move people." Rivera closed the door. "No one's following you. We checked." The woman swallowed hard. "I heard one of the officers say your name. They said you should be handled." "I don't know what that means. I don't want trouble." Maya leaned forward, voice steady. "You didn't cause trouble. You recorded the truth." The woman flinched at the word. "Truth. I just wanted someone to do something," she whispered. "Nobody ever does." Maya understood that too well. "Your video changed everything," she said. "But I need your testimony to hold." The woman's breath hitched. "They'll ruin me." Rivera said, "We can provide protection." The woman shook her head. "Not from the system." A silence fell, heavy, suffocating. Then the woman said something Maya didn't expect. "I wasn't the only one he talked to like that." Maya's heart thudded once. "What do you mean?" "There were complaints," the woman whispered. "Passengers reporting him for harassment, especially black women. One got detained for 3 hours because she argued back." Rivera froze. "Where's that record?" "Internal," she said. "Most of them never left the airport office." Maya inhaled. "Do you have proof?" The woman hesitated, then reached into her bag. and pulled out a flash drive. "I copied the logs," she said. "I shouldn't have, but I couldn't sleep. Some of those women cried in the bathroom afterward. One said it happens all the time with him." Rivera took the drive reverently, like a piece of evidence that could crack a dam. Maya stood. "This changes the entire scope of the investigation." The woman looked down. "It won't matter if people believe him." Maya's voice sharpened, not unkind, but precise. "They'll believe patterns. They always do." Before anyone could speak further, Maya's phone buzzed. "Bennett." She stepped aside and answered. His voice came through tight. "You need to get to the headquarters. Now." "What happened?" "There's been a breach." Maya's pulse spiked. Not fear, but white-hot irritation. "What kind of breach?" "Your office. Someone broke in. Files tampered with." Maya's fingers tightened around the phone. "Which files?" Bennett paused. "Your personnel file. And Hale's." Rivera heard enough to stiffen. "They are scrubbing something." Maya asked, "What was taken?" "Nothing taken," Bennett said. "Everything was rearranged." Another pause. Someone added documents. "It looks like you leaked sensitive flight risk data to the press." Maya's jaw flexed. A cold clarity snapped into focus. "They are framing me." "Yes," Bennett said quietly, "and the timing is intentional." "When is the hearing now?" Bennett exhaled. "They moved it up again." Maya braced herself. "To when?" "Tonight." Rivera swore under his breath. Bennett continued. "This isn't a hearing anymore. It's a disciplinary tribunal. They want you boxing before the evidence goes public." Maya's response was calm. "Then I'm bringing the evidence with me." Bennett hesitated. "Be careful. They are circling for blood." "We all are," Maya said. "But only one side has something to hide." She hung up. Rivera turned to the woman. "We need to get you secured. Now." Fear flickered across her face. "What if someone saw me leave work?" "We'll handle that," Rivera said. Maya looked at the woman directly. "You did the right thing, and I intend to prove it." The woman nodded, trembling. Rivera walked her out through the back exit to the secure car. When the door closed behind them, Maya sat alone for the first time in hours. The flash drive lay on the table like a loaded weapon. Complaints, patterns, dates, internal warnings, and a system that ignored all of it. Her phone buzzed again, another unknown number. She answered. Hale's voice. Calm, controlled, poisonously polite. "Director Lawson," he said, "you're making this harder than it needs to be." Maya's spine straightened. "You shouldn't be calling me." "You shouldn't be attacking my career," Hale replied. "But here we are." His voice sharpened. "You won't win. You know that, right?" Maya spoke evenly. "Truth doesn't need permission to win." Hale sneered softly. "You really think people like you get justice?" Maya didn't flinch. "I think people like you eventually get caught." A silence. Then Hale's voice dropped lower. "You're out of your depth." He hung up. Maya didn't move, didn't speak, didn't breathe for a moment. Just listened to the hum of the lights overhead, the sound of a system vibrating under its own tightening tension. Her phone buzzed again, a message from Rivera. "All set. Heading to HQ, meet you there." Maya grabbed a flash drive, slipped it into her jacket pocket, and walked out. Tonight wouldn't just break the narrative. It would break the silence that protected men like Hale. And once broken, it couldn't be rebuilt. The FAA hearing room was vast, its walls pale gray, fluorescent lights humming overhead like a slow pulse. A row of cameras lined the back, capturing every motion, every flicker of expression. Press overflowed in the gallery. Murmuring low, journalists clustered like predators circling a wounded story. Maya stepped inside with Rivera at her side, the flash drive secure in her jacket pocket. Hale sat across the table, posture rigid, eyes sharp and calculating. His union representative and a small cluster of allies flanked him, each face a mask of institutional confidence. The tribunal officer, a woman in her 40s with an expression honed for impartiality, tapped her gavel. This session will come to order. Director Lawson, you may begin your statement. Maya exhaled once. Her voice was controlled, even piercingly clear. I am here to present evidence of misconduct, harassment, and racial profiling by Officer Daniel Hale. My aim is accountability, not vengeance. She placed a flash drive on the table. Rivera connected it to the tribunal system. Screens lit up, footage, logs, internal reports, passenger statements, even the TSA witness video. The room fell into a tense, almost reverential silence as the chronology played out, each clip undeniable, each transcript a thread weaving the truth. Hale shifted, eyes narrowing. That footage is selective, he said, voice clipped. Edited, misleading. Context matters. It's unedited, Maya said, calm but firm. Every clip is time-stamped, every log authentic. Your narrative collapses against this pattern. One by one, tribunal members leaned in. Questions were precise, fact-driven, forcing Hale to respond. Each attempt to mislead, each fabrication, was systematically dismantled by documents, audio, and witness testimony. The TSA witness appeared virtually, her face blurred, voice steady but cautious. She recounted the systemic incidents, the repeated misconduct, the patterns others ignored. It's not an isolated incident, she said. It happens repeatedly. I recorded what I could. Others didn't feel safe. Hale's shoulders tensed. His defenses began to crack under the weight of corroborated evidence. Every union talking point, every public spin, evaporated as a truth. The raw, documented, undeniable truth swept through the room. Maya's voice remained steady throughout cross-examination. She did not flinch at his interruptions or sneers. Every word landed with precision. Every gesture commanded attention. Finally, the tribunal officer leaned back. This body has reviewed the evidence. Officer Hale, you have been found in violation of FAA conduct regulations, harassment policies, and abuse of authority. Your actions constitute a pattern of racial discrimination and misconduct. Hale's mouth opened, but no words came. The silence was absolute, suffocating. His union representatives exchanged tense glances. The cameras captured the moment, the full of institutional arrogance under the weight of incontrovertible truth. The officer had been shielded by policy, by union protection, by his own self-belief. That shield shattered now, irreparably. Maya exhaled quietly, allowing herself the barest flicker of relief. Rivera stepped forward, placing a steadying hand on her shoulder. It's done, he said softly. She shook her head, expression unreadable. Not entirely. The damage he caused doesn't vanish. But this is justice of a sort. The tribunal officer tapped the gavel again. The FAA will take appropriate actions to enforce this ruling. This session is adjourned. As the room emptied, journalists swarmed, questions flying. Maya answered them methodically, clearly, her voice carrying authority, dignity, and the weight of lived experience. The narrative had shifted. The abuser was exposed, and the pattern revealed. Outside, the city buzzed, oblivious to the specific cruelty that had played out, yet responsive to the truth amplified by evidence. Hale would face professional consequences, legal scrutiny, and social accountability. But Maya knew the emotional cost. An invisible tally of stress, fear, and defiance would linger. She had been forced into a crucible. She had survived, yes, but with scars that would remind her every day of what had been necessary to enforce justice. The flash drive remained in her pocket, a symbol, a weapon, and a testament. A pattern disrupted. A system forced to reckon. She stepped out into the late afternoon sunlight, the air crisp with winter's approach, and allowed herself a single thought. Truth had won, but the work of vigilance would never end.